For any of you guys who have been around in my channel for a while, I mean the longest while, as in 2016 kind of while, and you're still around, or maybe you watched something, then left, then came back, you may remember that I had a mini series called My Initial Video Game Reactions, and I have an entire playlist dedicated to that. Well, I realized that I have not spoken about video games ever since. Tonight, I thought I would revisit one of them and express my memories and just how I felt the first time I played the game. And if you wonder why I'm in the dark, I had a huge meltdown and I'm just trying to make myself feel better, and what better way to do that at nighttime than to ramble away. And given that I'm going to talk about Pokemon Ruby version, I thought it was cool that I can have a Ruby-like background to accompany this. The very first thing that I remember stood out to me about the Pokemon Ruby version for the Game Boy Advance was the fact that the colors were bold and distinctive. We went from having maybe a handful of colors present to more colors present in this game. And I also enjoyed how you were not stuck between walking or going on a bicycle. You could actually run in this game by keeping the B button pressed. And I found that impressive because it was unbearable to go so far, so long for a while within the game, just at that pixel whatever pace that we got going on. But to be able to at least jog or run, as opposed to, okay, you can either walk or ride the bicycle, that was a big step for me. That was a great level up for me. Another thing was that, if I remember right, this is the game when Pokemon actually physically moved, when they would come out of their Pokeballs or something in battle. Maybe I'm misremembering it, but I just remember that the mechanics and the graphics had significantly improved. And I also gotta be a little nicer with the gold version of this franchise, because the gold version was available for the Game Boy Color, and I'm describing a game now that's for the Game Boy Advance, but I'm just happy to express that the Game Boy Advance did a pretty good job about implementing and advancing enough to have these things present. I thoroughly enjoyed watching my brother play this game. This was more my brother's game than my game, but I genuinely do not remember much of it. I don't really remember any gym leaders' names because, if I remember correctly, this is the Hoenn region, and I just don't know those Pokemon that well. I just know Groudon and Rayquaza. I always forget the name of the blue legendary Pokemon that's on the cover of the Sapphire version. And Tailo, I forget his evolution's name is. Little things like that. I may or may not know a handful of those Pokemon. I know far less than the others. The others, like Gen 1 and Gen 2, I'm pretty confident about most of them. I used to know all of them for sure, but in more recent times, given how long I've gone without visiting those games or that show, I gotta admit, there are times I see some pictures and I have to think about it and really focus and try to remember who's who and the evolution's name, because some of them can be a little tricky. Even as a kid, I struggled with Dragonair, Dragonite, and Dratini. Yeah, I think Dratini was like the first version, and then Dragonair and Dragonite. I think Dragonite is the one with the wings, and then Dragonair would have been like the middle one. Yeah, I'm not sure because you would think that Dragonair would be the one to since this one flies, then he would be the one to have the air name as opposed to Dragonite. I don't know. But yeah, just so back to my initial reaction to the Ruby version, I just thought that it was cool, it was impressive that um, even your character, when a battle started, that Pokeball would roll and everything on the screen, everything had color and the symbols were more clear. Whereas in the Game Boy Color version, some things were just really generic looking, like Pokeballs. They were just half white, half red. They really didn't have like the outline of it very well. And the pixels gave everything a little bit of a distorted look. But for the Game Boy Advance, the graphics were getting significantly better. Of course, very heavily pixelated still, but it was improving. It's been so freaking long, and this was never my personal game, that I have limited recollection of it. But I just remember that the thing that hit me the most was the graphics and the improvement in the mechanics, such as the running. Editing exam here. I forgot to mention one of the most important things in the world for me, which is music. This game had a pretty cool soundtrack. There are songs that to this day I still listen to. I think my favorite one was Abandoned Ship. It's because at the time I used to catch a ferry. It felt like this song was matching what I was doing at the time in real life. Also, the dive music was pretty cool, which you could listen to the dive song before you got to Abandoned Ship, which was an underwater kind of stage that was also pretty impressive back in the day for its time. Of course, the surfing song was also pretty nice. So it's like you could have a moment of listening to Surf, which is a cool song, then listen to Dive, which is a cool song, and then listen to Abandoned Ship, which is an even cooler song. And the battle songs, I really didn't care for it very much. I want to say the one I remember the most that I can say I kind of liked was, I can't remember if it's the gym leader song or the final league battle song. Route 106 or Route 38, one of those. It's a pretty nice song too. This song used to come on by some beach. I remember that much. Oh, and another cool thing about this game is that you had the option of choosing between a boy or a girl. And even if I had the Sapphire version, I would have probably picked the boy just because that's what I was used to. And say, when playing Metal Gear Solid, I never wished that Snake was a woman. See what I mean? So with Pokemon, I'm used to my protagonists being male, so I'm not going to trip balls over the fact that I don't get to play as a female. So having the female option was really not something I needed, but it was a cool option to have. And of course, I know boys who probably would consider playing as a female. I just remembered that, so I thought I would add that. So yeah, you guys, that's pretty much it for me on this one. I really don't recall a whole lot about this game. I remember watching Team 4 Star's Nuzlocke of it. I don't think I finished the entire Nuzlocke. I think I watched maybe 7 episodes. But that helped kind of refresh my mind when I watched that about 2 years ago. Ruby version, I wanted the Sapphire version because, of course, blue. And since my brother had the silver and I had the gold, then why not? He can have the ruby and I can have the sapphire. But I think by then I was kind of fed up with Pokemon. And I just still carried the sadness of my gold version's data disappearing. I put so many hours, so many years into that game, and then one day to see my data lost. It was sad for me. And after that, It's kind of like a book. I finished reading it. I don't want to pick it back up. That's kind of what happened with me. And later down the line, I learned that what was happening was that the battery died on the cartridges. And I'm like, this has a battery all up in this? I had no idea. But I could be misremembering. I'm sorry that this is a video maybe crappier than usual. This is helping me. I just want to distract myself and also test myself how well I can express something and fire up my memory when I don't feel too great. Pokemon Ruby version, you guys let me know. Did you ever play it? What do you remember? What was your favorite thing? What did you not like? I'll let you guys know if anything else substantial comes to mind. God, I really can't believe that it took me this long to go back to gaming. I remember that ginormous video I made. I think I streamed that actually, in which I showed you guys my collection of games. And then I reacted to what I was showing you based on the games I would find in my box. But I don't think I ever talked about Ruby version because A, I have it in my clipboard, and B, it wasn't my personal game. So I know for a fact that given my limited memory, I wouldn't really make a good topic on it. And I really wish I knew what the hell that noise is that happens every so often at nighttime. And it doesn't happen every night, but it's just stupid and loud and annoying. I don't need unnecessary noises tonight.